Hello everyone, and welcome to the Level Design Lobby. What is going on, my game design gurus? And welcome to the Level Design Lobby. I hope you guys are making and or playing the games that you love. So this is the essential reading, my bonus episodes. If you are new, because we've got quite a few new subscribers in the last 2 months. So again, welcome and thank you for joining. And thank you to the listeners that have stuck with me since when you originally joined. A lot of love to all of you because it means a great deal to me. So for those of you who are unaware of what this is, my essential reading list, it has adapted from what it once was, but it's now my bonus episode section where I break down 5 of my top suggested reading to you, my audience, and just say thank you, and just recommend things that I've enjoyed watching, listening, or reading during this month, which I've learned from. Sorry, I got a Facebook message. I'm popular today. So yeah, I'm just going to recommend some things that I've enjoyed, and I hopefully think that you will enjoy. So when I give out these suggestions, there will be a link to all of them down below in the description. If you like what you hear, you can go check them out and go read them and then share your thoughts with me. If you people do also have something that you want me to check out, then please tweet me at MaxPairs and share your recommendations. A few of you have, and I'm going to recommend one that was shared by one of the listeners already. Or you can email them over to me, leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. Okay, without any further ado or my ramblings, let's jump into this. The first one is on Gamasutra called Designing Florence to convey the ineffable feeling of being in love. So to give a bit of a backstory here, the lead designer, Ken Wong, is a friend of mine and also a man who has helped me a couple of times. I met him back when I was at university, a really, really smart man. You guys may be aware of him for working on Monument Valley on iOS and Android. If you haven't check it out. Very good. And this is his new game with his new team by Mountains. And man, I'm excited for this. So as I said, there's a bit of bias with this, but this article breaks down how him and his team came to the design choices they did while making this game. So it's a really interesting one because already by the title, it's about conveying love through gameplay, but not just through like a AAA game, but through a mobile game, which to me is very interesting because the user interface and what you can do, like generally what you can do with a mobile game is different to what you can do with AAA games, as we all know, because the interface and due to technical limitations, and it's how they've come around that and how they're trying to express that, and they break it down here on how they do this through their gameplay. And I think it's a really cool one. I've only just got the game now, like 5 minutes before I started recording this, so I will probably actually do a breakdown and try to get Ken on the show, hopefully, fingers crossed, to come talk to me about this so that you can all hear again the design process behind this. And again, another interesting one, it's about love, and many of us probably who've listened to the show, and myself included, have been in love or are in love, and that's one of the greatest feelings ever. So there are a couple of other games who've tried to capture this in different ways, and I'm just interested to see how they do it. And this is what excites me about the medium now that we're growing even more, is that we as the medium and people like these guys and girls are working on a game to try express a different feeling. So go check this out if you are interested. It's pretty flipping cool. Like I said, I've picked it up. It does cost in UK currency about £3, £2 to £3. There'll be a link to that also in below. Go check it out and play it along with me so we can talk about it. So that's the first one. Now we're going to move on to another Gamasutra article. Just in general, I think it's a really interesting story. I don't think it's finished yet, but it's cool so far. And that's called Leaving CD Projekt Red, A First Step in the Dark, Part 1. This is by Ryan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name here, Ryan. Ryan Pergent. So again, I apologise if I've butchered your name there. It's a really interesting article because he's talking about how he's gone from a huge, currently one of the best studios in the industry, CD Projekt Red, and he worked on The Witcher 3, which is again one of the all-time best games now. I think we can all agree it's on that list. Where it ranks, that's up to you and your opinion. And he's talking about his journey from going as a AAA developer to now going indie, and what his thought process was while doing this. And I think that's a really interesting thing, because a lot of us either start off going indie or want to eventually move into indie. So for this man to have the courage to do that, and for anyone who is an indie developer, I salute you for the courage that you guys have to do this, because I have other friends who are indie, and I know from a financial standpoint it's very hard, it's very worrying on certain degrees. So he talks about his adventure going from that and what it's like, that transition. And it's currently on part 6. I'll be linking to part 1. I've only just started this article, so as in I'm only partway through the 6 that there is currently. I'll be interested to see how it develops throughout. I think it's going to have some very interesting business points of view as well, because as much as this podcast is about the design of video games, I also do want to show certain articles or videos about the business side of video games, because I think it's important for us not to have the best understanding or grasping, but to still have some knowledge, because video games is a business, but still have some knowledge about the business side, because it's only going to help you lot and myself moving forward within our lives. So don't dismiss this because it's got some business insight too. But again, check this out. I think it's a very interesting article. Now, this was recommended to me by one of our listeners, whose name is Chris. Jesus, I'm really sorry, Chris, because I know I'm going to butcher your name here, mate. So I apologise right off the bat, and please do correct me because I know I'm not saying it correctly. And again, I apologise. Chris Shenstrom. I am so sorry because I know that's not the fully way to say it. But me and Chris have been going back and forth for about, I don't know, man, how long are we going back and forth? A few weeks, just generally just chatting about design, and he was kind enough to give some feedback on the podcast, which is great. I'm always looking for feedback, and he actually suggested we spoke about this new series called Boundary Break. It's on YouTube. Boundary Break is by a man's YouTube channel called, man, no name is easy today to pronounce for me. Can't just get a John Smith, can I? It's Shez, Shesez, and he basically is able, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's able to break out of the boundary, hence the name, of the video game levels, and just showing some of the techniques that we as devs use to actually sort of get away and get around certain things, whether it be through cutscenes, other things like that, where we spawn enemies and some stuff like that. And I think it'd be really interesting for other people to see that sometimes the answers we have are not like the nicest or neatest things. We joke about hacks, but it gets the job done, which is the most important thing. And it also, I think, humanizes, big developers that, they're people as well. And it's a very interesting one. Thank you again, Chris, for showing this to me. And I recommend it. The one I'm going to link to is The Last of Us, just because I am a huge fan of The Last of Us. Naughty Dog are just incredible. And yeah, I'll be putting this in. Like I said, it's very interesting showing the techniques behind everything that we see. So before we move on to the fourth recommendation, is just as a reminder to go check out my Twitter. Now, my Twitter is @MaxPez, and it is just me giving out like small level design and game design tips that I'm doing. So just bite-sized chunks for in between the episodes. So I think you guys enjoy that, and it's a great way for you all to communicate with me, because I'm on there Monday to Friday. I do not touch Twitter generally on Saturday or Sunday. My day is off. And yeah, it's a great way to communicate, and I love chatting with all of you because I've spoken to many of you amazing people already who've helped me out by, giving me critique on the podcast, which is great, as well as giving me recommendations. So if you haven't already, do follow me on Twitter. Okay, now let's get on to the fourth one. Sorry, the video automatically started there. This one is going to be from GDC, and it is called Level Design Workshop Designing Celeste. Celeste, for some of you who don't know, it came out while I'm recording this probably just under a month ago, and it's kind of a... I kind of find a way to describe it. It's like a platformer similar to that of Super Meat Boy, like a very challenging but rewarding one, as well as some really nice story undertones I hear. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I've watched video playthroughs, and it looks really cool. Like how they've just taken what seems to be primarily one... There's other mechanics in it, but they base it around primarily one. And expand upon this really nicely, and how the game mechanics complement one another there, and how their difficulty... It doesn't seem frustrating. It seems like even when you die, you learn, and then adding these kind of optional challenges behind it. So this talk is about how they've come to make this, how they've designed this, and how they got through designing their levels for the player. So, as it is the level design lobby, I think it is really worth checking out, guys and girls. So I'm partway through this one. I do apologise. This month's been a very tough month for me. I haven't had as much time to myself as I would like, but from what I've seen so far, it's really good. That'll be down in the description. And now, the fifth and final one of this episode. Everything's just auto-playing. I apologise. It sounds nicer than my voice. Anyway, this one is a really interesting one because when I went to watch it, I didn't know if I was going to enjoy this or not, because it's not my genre of game, to be honest. And I'm definitely not the target audience for their game as well. But it was really good, to be honest with you. And it's called Getting Players to Care Using Narrative to Drive Retention. Now, this is a talk by two people. It is from the Pixelberry Studios with Cara Lou and Royal McGraw. It's really not been my day for names. I hope I pronounced those names correctly. Sorry if I haven't. And they're basically explaining High School Story. Now, some of you might not know what High School Story is. I'd only heard of it before going into this talk. High School Story is a mobile game where you kind of manage your own high school as well as play some of the students as well. And it talks about how it's really interesting because it talks on two different levels. One from the design of the narrative, how their team came together and what they tried to do, and then the actual business model behind it, and how these two kind of intertwined and worked together in order to create High School Story and create an amazing experience for the players. Now, like I said, I had not played this game prior, and I honestly didn't know much about the story, / was a bit hesitant to how good that story was going to be. I don't want to sound rude when I say that. Yet after watching this talk and seeing the techniques they used, how they built on stereotypes to only then just to break them, is fantastic. And then seeing the audience, and again, it's a very different audience to the games that I've worked on. It's more for what seems to be generally teenage girls. There is boys playing it as well, but it seemed the feedback they were generally showing was coming from mainly teenage girls. But it was showing how passionate their fans are about this product, and how their narratives with their business model and how they did it kept players coming back for more, and how the players related and really enjoyed their story and the characters within themselves. Honestly, some of the tweets they showed during this presentation about how attached these people are to these characters is mind-blowing. It's on a level that you wouldn't... It's like on a level that you'd compare some people loving some of the famous gaming icons, really. And that's incredible. And again, it has a business strategy in which, as I said earlier, I do think is important for us to pay attention to. And yeah, I really was pleasantly surprised with this. And I enjoyed this talk. I'd recommend, seriously, one of the best ones to check out during these 5 that I've given out. They're all brilliant. This is just one of my personal favorites of this month. There we have it, guys and girls, my gaming gurus. Those are my top 5 essential reading for this month. So go check them out. Please let me know what you think of them. And if you do have any more that you would, any more suggestions for me, please do tweet me at MaxPairs or email them to me, leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. So thank you all very much. I would just ask for a couple things from you amazing people if you haven't already. If you are listening to this through a podcasting app, then please do rate this and subscribe, because rating it only helps to grow the Level Design Lobby, which helps bring in more gaming gurus like yourselves. And this is one of the big reasons why I started the Level Design Lobby, was to build a community where we can share and talk with one another. Because another reason why I do these type of episodes is I do not know everything about game design or level design, and it's important for us to all share. Despite your level of experience or inexperience, it's still amazing to hear from everyone, because that's all how we all grow and learn and get better at making video games. So thank you all very, very much. Enjoy yourselves. Have an amazing week. Let me know what you think, and take care, and I'll catch you all next time. See you later.